Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today's video is going to be my top 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes at the drugstore. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today's video is going to be my top 10 favorite drugstore eyeshadow palettes. This is a video concept I've been doing every year as part of Eyeshadow Palette Month because people always want to know what I think is the best of the best out there at a more affordable price point. So I definitely have some options here today that may not exactly be eyeshadow palettes, but that I still think are good brands to look into when it comes to eyeshadow. So that's why I wanted to include them here. If you're unfamiliar with the channel, then hi, my name is Maaike. I live in the Netherlands. I love creating content because I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and this greatly influences how I like to use makeup and what looks right on me. I love chatting about eyeshadow palettes, Essence and Catrice, and getting these out of my makeup. And because I have been reviewing makeup for more than a decade, I have some strong opinions as well, so I hope you're here for that and you would like to consider subscribing by clicking subscribe down below. So let me just start off with the things that aren't palettes. I think that's fair. So Essence as a brand can do really nice eyeshadow. I'm not gonna lie, Essence can do decent eyeshadow. It's just that when I put Essence in the grander scheme of things that are out there and that I personally have in my collection, I very often feel that their palettes aren't very exciting, the color stories aren't very unique to me, the formulas are okay, workable. If you're on a budget and you can't afford anything that's perhaps a little bit more expensive, then I think Essence can be a great one for sure. That being said, I've never fallen head over heels in love with an Essence eyeshadow palette to the point where it needs to stay in my makeup collection and I want to use it over and over. However, this year, they came out with this, and this is the Luminous Eye Tint. This is a liquid eyeshadow. I have mine in Shimmering Taupe, which I think is shade 3, and this beats high-end. I have one of the Lisa Eldridge Liquid Lurex. I've got some things by K-Beauty brands, by Giorgio Armani that are liquid eyeshadows. I've tried the Stila ones in the past, and this beats them all. It's got great wear time, it wears beautifully. You do have to build it up with a bit of a sheer layer, so what I would recommend with this is that you just like lightly tap it on and then use your finger to blend it out so that you get this really nice wash of color. If you use too much of this, it is going to crease and it's not gonna look nice. You also need to be careful with using this on your lower lash line. I tried doing that and my eyes started to water instantly. So don't get it like in your lashes is what I would recommend. But if you take care of that, this comes in 3 very light shades. One of them is more of a champagne, so great for an inner corner highlight. The other one is like a rose gold pinky kind of shade. And then they have this taupe shade, which is one of my favorite taupes I have in my entire collection by now. So this was stellar, and it's only like 2 or 3 euros at the drugstore, so very cheap and cheerful, and one of those one and done eyeshadows that will just do a lot by doing very little. Secondly is Kiko, and with Kiko Milano, I've said this many times in the past, I don't love their palettes. I don't love the way they put color stories together. It's never quite right for me. I have a Kiko quad from a holiday collection in my makeup collection just so I can have a Kiko Milano eyeshadow palette around, but it's just not their strength. Their strength lies in these things. They're single shadows, but especially their eyeshadow sticks. Now, apparently they're now doing a cream kind of formula that seems to be really good as well. I've heard great things about that. I definitely want to do another like full face of Kiko sometime in the fall time. But for now, just know Kiko single eyeshadows. Their water shadows are really pretty. This is one of their glitter showers, which isn't glittery at all. It's just a very strong metallic. And then this one is from a holiday collection, and it's actually quite a good formula dupe for the pop shadows that Charlotte Tilbury came out with over the Christmas season as well. I don't have the matching shade to this, but texture-wise, they felt very, very similarly. So Kiko Milano is made in Italy, and I have a suspicion that their brand is made in a factory that also makes products for many more luxury products like Charlotte Tilbury, but also Hourglass and Laura Mercier, because their eyeshadow sticks are some of the best I've ever tried. These are very often on sale. You can get them like 1 + 1 for free. those kind of deals. They do this really lovely, like sagey gray green, which is just stunning. But they also do neutral shades. They have a shade that you can use as an eyeshadow base, a bit like those Sigma sticks that Sigma came out with a while ago. But I like their more colorful things. You can use these as a base, but they are small enough that you can use them as a bit of a smudge out liner on the lower lash line as well. You can smudge them in the outer corner to create some depth. I love a couple of the darker shades to create smoky eyes with. They just do so many great things. These are incredibly long lasting. You do have a little bit of time to play with them, but they do settle down, and for the price point, you just can't beat these Kiko eyeshadow sticks. A brand that I think has been featured in my favorite drugstore eyeshadow palette roundup every year has been e.l.f. Only this year, I'm featuring a different palette than what I've featured previously. In previous years, I always showed you my Earth and Ocean, which I still think, till this day, is one of the best drugstore eyeshadow palettes to have ever come out. But then they did this over the winter time. It's the Celestial Winter, which was a limited edition this winter, so you can no longer buy it. However, they are coming out with more eyeshadow palettes in this kind of style, with the clear window in this like rectangular shape with then I think 10 shades inside it. So they are doing this kind of setup for more of their palettes now. This is lovely. I really, really think this is a stunner of an eyeshadow palette. It's light, it's got the cool tones. I don't really love this warm tone here, but everything else is really pretty. It comes with the duochrome even. The blue has good payoff too. This was stellar. And especially for how much I paid for it, I think it was a really good deal. And this is just a lovely little eyeshadow. The next palette isn't necessarily, it's not necessarily about this palette per se, but more so a placeholder for an entire category of my makeup collection. In the past few months, I've been trying out a bunch of K-Beauty eyeshadow palettes. They are a great alternative to drugstore brands if you want something that's very neutral, that just has amazing mattes and a bit of a sparkle to do anything. But this Peach Sea Falling in Pink eyeshadow palette has been one of the reasons why I wanted to try some more K-Beauty, because it has these really lovely, like more neutrally brown tone, a pink, and then these two here. This shimmer is amazing. K-Beauty can do some really lovely, really good, buttery quality eyeshadows that I just really, really enjoy. The color stories can sometimes be a little bit boring. I think if you're looking into K-Beauty and you want to try just one brand, try Romand, because they are on offer quite often, and I think their palettes retail for around the €15 price point if you do get them on sale. But yeah, this one I think is really nice as well, because it's a quad, so it's a bit more affordable, but some K-Beauty brands can get a little bit more expensive. So it really depends on the brand you get, whether it's going to be more within the drugstore price range or whether it's going to be more like high-end. We just need to rave about this one again. The Catrice 5 in a box in Diamond Lavender look. I know, not everybody can buy this. I'm not sure when this is gonna come your way if you're in the US. I don't think it's out there yet. We got this last spring-summer season. That's when this was released. I know that some European websites do sell, do ship internationally. So if you were to be willing to, you know, do what I do when I buy from the US and pay for the shipping and handling fees, then you can probably import it from Europe, from a European rep store. Boozy Shop, I know, sends to countries all around the world, but you're gonna have to pay like ship by weight, which is gonna be super expensive, just to be on the safe side there. But yeah, this one I just really like. This is only €4 at the drugstore, maybe 5. I love this little thing. Yes, it's incredibly light, but I got a lot of definition out of this. I was able to pull 5 looks out of it, and it's been one of my favorite palettes that I've tried all year. I think actually when I did my eyeshadow palette ranking this for like the first half of the year, this is the one that came out on top, because I was like looking at everything I had and I was like, this guy for sure. So yeah, I do really enjoy this little guy. It's very cheap and cheerful. If you've never tried Catrice eyeshadow, try some of the 5 in the box. I've only been disappointed in 1 or 2 of them that I feel aren't the same quality as the rest. And with some of them, the color story just isn't as exciting. Like they have a cocky one that only has 1 green. So You do need to be a little bit careful, but this entire lineup, if you can find them, I really rate them highly. Now, I know some people would just want more impact from their shadows, even though that's not necessarily where my preference lies, but if you want very impactful eyeshadows at an affordable price point, and I think Beauty Bay is quite possibly your best bet. They ship internationally. I just have my Book of Magic because it's the only one that I've tried that really appeals to me, but the formula it's just not my cup of tea. It's very intense and just very, very sort of pigmented shadows that I find really difficult to blend. But I think that this is really lovely. A lot of their palettes are like 12 to 15 euros. They do these really ginormous things. So especially if you're starting out and you just want a lot of shades within a certain color family, they do a lot. And they keep around their palettes for a good while as well, especially the ones in their regular lineup, like something like this not, because it was limited edition. But yeah, Beauty Bay, I think for that very impactful, super intense, pigmented shadow, if that's you and you want your really foily metallic shimmers, Beauty Bay is the brand for you. And I have to include this next one, even though I know this is impossible to find. And by now the brand is also quite difficult to find. But BH Cosmetics, I mean, I still hold BH Cosmetics very near and dear to my heart. They haven't really come out with anything new in recent years because they went bankrupt. They were picked up by Makeup Revolution, but they don't really seem to be releasing anything that's really new and exciting like it was when we got these things. So this is part of the travel series that they used to do. This is the Love in London, which is the one that was never updated to new packaging. But this is what it looks like. It's one of my favorite all-time palettes for sure. It's got so many good neutrals. It's more on the cool tone side, but you do get some warmth. You get the blue and the gray and the purple to add a bit of color and a bit of interest to your looks. This has been one of my favorite palettes, and I still think, till this day, that BH Cosmetics was one of the best, more affordable eyeshadow palette brands that we had. And I just don't really feel we've been getting a lot of exciting new, more affordable brands like BH in recent years. We just haven't really. So I wish we would get some more and that they would get a lot of hype again. I would definitely be excited to try those things. But at the minute, I'm much more into trying things like this than I am in trying a full-blown palette, because very often these affordable brands also tend to do the bigger palettes, and that's not my vibe. Speaking of an affordable eyeshadow palette brand that is affordable to some people but not all, and that is going to be Colourpop. Colourpop, of course, is a US-based brand, which means that if you're in the US, this is far easier to get your hands on and much more worth it than when you're in the EU because of the shipping and handling fees. I always have said that I like to wait with purchasing Colourpop until I get free shipping and there is a discount. So I usually like save my wish list for a while to come, and then when they have a deal for Black Friday, I buy it all in one go. I try to stay under the legal limit of 150 euros so I don't have to pay additional taxes. But then, you know, the shipping and handling fees and the discount and everything together is going to make it as expensive as if I were to buy it at full price. That being said, Colourpop can be incredibly hit and miss, which is why some people don't find it worth it, because it really depends on what batch products are from, whether you're going to get the good Colourpop quality or whether you're getting the not so great quality. I had definitely held off of buying some Colourpop in the past year or so because I just wasn't really loving what they were doing. So the only thing I got in the last Black Friday sale was the Troublemaker palette because it was the only color story that truly stood out to me. And then I was like, yes, this is the good Colourpop formula. This is what I know they can do. And again, I don't think that Colourpop can be beaten when it comes to the full range of things they offer. So you do need to shop wisely if you want to try Colourpop, and it's a bit of a risk, I'm not gonna lie. I was definitely a bit on the fence about them for a bit there, but I do have a couple of newer to me eyeshadow palettes by Colourpop to try out in, I think it's gonna be October that I'm gonna, September or October. September that I'm going to be trying them. So yeah, the Colourpop Troublemaker palette is really lovely. I love this color story, but Colourpop as a whole, you can just find something that anybody will like on there, provided you get the good quality, which you don't know until you get it home. But a brand that I think you could say they've replaced Colourpop for me is Glam Shop. So if you're in the EU and you find Colourpop too expensive to buy, then definitely look into Glam Shop. They are an EU-based brand. They're from Poland, and their 9 pans retail for around the €20 mark. I was able to pay to get a couple of their things on sale. They also do a bunch of singles, and in Poland they are sold at the drugstore, so I know that. The favorite one that I've tried has been the Cashmere. This you can still buy if I'm not mistaken. A lot of their palettes are limited edition. They usually stick around for a good while, and they do restock them eventually, but once it's gone from the website, they never bring it back. That's just something to be careful with, because I now have a couple of those palettes that were around for like a year, year and a half, and now you can no longer buy them, but then the brand sometimes does still offer a lot of the singles, so that's something you can then look for. But yeah, the Cashmere has been one of my favorite neutral palettes that I've tried all year. I think I tried it in like February or March, and this is just stunning. It is a great, great neutral palette. It's got a lot of light shades, but it has enough depth as well. You get some interesting shimmers here. The shimmer quality from Glam Shop is out of this world amazing. So if you're a shimmer lover like I am, then definitely give them a shout out here and have a look at them. However, this month I will be trying out these two, so I just wanted to give these palettes a shout out and to let you know that these are going to come up in my next palette review video that's going to go live this month. So the Simna Mocha is this one, which is sort of like the cooler tone version of the Cashmere, really. And this is my placeholder for the Coco Sanka, which is a palette they used to do that I was raving about how similar it was. Like the European version of the That's Taupe by Colourpop is what I've called it in the past. And now they do this. They do an entire range of these like coffee palettes. However, I believe not all of them are available anymore, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, this came out in the fall time, and I only got it a couple of months ago, so they may still be doing this. It's got some like duochrome action. You get some really lovely shimmers here and some really lovely mattes, so I can't wait to play with it. And then one of their newer releases is this green palette, which is the reason why I have not bought the new Natasha Denona green palette or the Nomad one, or there were like 3 brands who came out with a color story that was similar to this, with like greens and like those mustardy yellow kind of things. Again, some multi-chromes in here, some lovely green tone shimmers, this really nice matte, really intense, impactful palette. Only 3 mattes and everything else has a shimmer, which we all know I love. But one of the best drugstore palettes I tried in the past year was by Catrice, and it was limited edition. I don't know, the last time I checked, this was still available on Lyko. Lyko is one of those brands, like one of those websites here in the European Union that seems to be stocking things until they sell out. As in, they don't just discontinue it because the brand no longer wants them to sell it, but they don't take things off their website until they actually run out of stock, which is where I've been able to find some like older products from Catrice and Essence that I cannot find anywhere else. So maybe this is still around. I hope so. But I did put this in a giveaway last year. This is the Fall in Colors from Catrice, and I raved about it so much. It was one of my favorite palettes of 2022, and I just need to give it a shout out here again. Catrice can do really good eyeshadow quality, but they're very inconsistent, and this is one of the good ones. That's all I can say. The thing that's going to throw you off, save for the very shiny gold packaging, is the orange that's in the middle. So you might think, oh, this is going to be a very, very warm tone palette. Let me show you if I can do this. If I sort of put my fingers over these two, do you just see how light it is and how cool toned it is? It's got some berries, but it's got some like rosy tones here and then here as well. But we also get this really lovely sprinkling of this like really pretty, more like cool tone bronzy brown, which is quite unique and you don't see very often. This purpley shade is really pretty. We get some like good like brown tone mattes, and like this is not a black, it's more like a really good cool tone brown. It's just such a stunning palette. We get some different textures into shimmers. This was only 15 euros, and I'm super happy that I got to try it. I just randomly picked this up from my local drugstore around the corner and fell in love. That's what happened with this one. So those would be my top 10 favorite drugstore eyeshadows. It's a little bit more than palettes, as I just mentioned. Some of them are for palettes themselves, some of them are just within that price range, or they are brands that I wanted to give a shout out to because I think they do something good within a more affordable price point. So I really hope you got something out of this video today. Please thumbs it up if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more by me. I have an entire month filled with eyeshadow palette content coming your way still, because we're still in the midst of August, which is eyeshadow palette month on here. So if you'd like to stay tuned for more, take care, and then I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye!